Hey there, guys. Yeah, Phase 2 started off strong and then kinda took a dip. Thor the Dark World is directed by Alan Taylor. Funny story, actually, Patty Jenkins was originally going to direct Thor the Dark World, and she was replaced by Alan Taylor and went on to direct Wonder Woman, which came out this year. Which is also funny, because guess what else comes out this year? Thor Ragnarok. So that's cool. So Thor the Dark World picks up after the Avengers, and this species called the Dark Elves and their leader Malekith, they're coming to destroy something. I don't know. Their motivations aren't actually all that clear in the movie. All I know is it has something to do with the convergence and plunging the 9 realms back into darkness. But why? Anyways, Chris Hemsworth is still great as Thor. He gets better and better with every movie, honestly. And I'm super excited for Ragnarok. Natalie Portman, she was okay in the first movie. She shouldn't be in this movie. She just feels very forced in. She doesn't matter to the story of this movie. She has little to nothing to do with the main plot, and so in order to justify having Natalie Portman in the movie, they write her into an important part of the plot, and it's just meh. It adds no meaning. It's just so we can get Jane in Asgard, and then more of their relationship, which in this movie doesn't really work. And then Christopher Eccleston as the villain Malekith, I thought he was pretty sinister and fun. Just kind of forgettable. He never does anything really of note in the movie. And so it's kind of easy to forget that he was even there, or that this movie even happened. I mean, I had fun when he was on screen. I just, afterwards, kind of just forget most of the stuff that he does. So that's a bit of a disappointment. And then you have Kat Dennings. She was funny in the first movie, but she had a small part. She has a lot bigger part in this movie. And she ends up becoming pretty annoying, honestly. And then you have Tom Hiddleston as Loki, who steals every scene that he is in this movie. Like, he was great in Thor, he was amazing in the Avengers, and he's just incredible in this movie. He just gets better with every movie. So I can't wait to see him in Ragnarok, because I think this is the last time we've seen him, so we haven't seen Loki in a while. It'll be nice to have him back. So, the convergence storyline in the movie, which is kind of the most prominent, it's kind of meaningless. It doesn't have any impact on the MCU at all, except kind of a throwaway reference in Age of Ultron. But it's never referenced again. It was never referenced before. It's nothing. I thought the Dark Elves as a concept and species were cool. I mean, they had some cool designs. The ships were cool. Malekith was really cool. It's just forgettable. The humor really works in this movie. That's one thing that Marvel always gets right, is the humor. It's just, there were a few jokes that I kind of wish were left out. That's the thing with Marvel movies, is that there are times in the movies where instead of, because I think they're just afraid of losing the momentum of comedy in their movies. So you have a really emotional or really good, deep moment, and then they're like, hey, we haven't had a joke in a few minutes. Let's throw one in right there. And it doesn't quite work or fit the tone of the scene. A lot of people argued that with the David Hasselhoff cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I personally didn't have a problem with that. I thought it fit well with the scene. Yeah, it made me laugh, but I thought it fit the moment. So there are just a couple jokes in this movie in particular that I feel like could have been left out to make the movie a little more, to make it more impactful. I definitely think that this movie is pretty good. It's just kind of meh for the most part. It doesn't really pick up until near the end. I think the first movie is better. Again, this movie is still pretty good. And it is nice to see a full movie of Thor being Thor, rather than Thor being just a normal dude for the most part. Or as, like, a part of the team and not really having a big part. It was nice to see Thor as Thor. It's just... the first movie, the story was better, the writing, I thought, was better. It had more memorable scenes and characters. And this movie didn't have all that stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, the direction, the writing, all that stuff is pretty good. It's just that they chose the wrong characters to put the focus on. They chose the wrong characters to sideline. They chose the wrong times to make jokes. It could have been better. I thought the visuals were really cool. I like the Asgardian characters for the most part. The human characters I could have completely done without. The third act of the movie is probably the most memorable and fun part of the movie. That is where the convergence finally is happening and Thor fights Malekith. That was good. That's what I wish the whole movie was more of. Just cool Asgardian battle stuff, not... the convergence. Jane. I love you, Jane. And that's I just wish, like, the opening scene, the opening battle scene, and then the last act of this movie are what I wish the whole movie was. And I would even argue, like, most of the first act of the movie, I guess, too, but minus the stuff with Jane and her assistant and stuff. I wanted to see an Asgard story. And then as soon as he goes back to Earth and finds Jane, that's when the movie kind of sunk for me a little bit. And I didn't really love it. So I would say, like, the first act minus the Earth stuff and then the last act are what I really wanted out of this movie. So, yeah. It's not the worst MCU movie. I would still say Iron Man 2, while still pretty good, is probably the worst one. I think that this one is the most forgettable one, because pretty much every other Marvel movie has, like, one thing that kind of sticks out and is memorable. This one really doesn't. I would say, overall, maybe it's the post-credit scene with Benicio del Toro as the Collector. That's about it. But, yeah, it's not a bad movie at all. It's just really safe. It plays it very safe. It doesn't really take any chances or do anything new or inventive until the last third, when they start playing with, like, portals and stuff, which was really fun. that is the part that sticks out the most of than overall the rest of the movie, because that's where they really started to just play around with new and inventive things, rather than what is the rest of the movie leading up to it, which plays it very safe as just being kind of a generic Marvel movie. Again, not horrible, just a very safe and forgettable movie until the last third. I'm gonna give Thor: The Dark World a B-. One thing I want to touch on real quick before I do the outro and stuff is that it doesn't really have anything to do with my thoughts on the movie, really. I love that I never noticed before that Chris O'Dowd from the IT Crowd is in the movie in like a really small, almost cameo part. And that made me happy because I just recently watched the IT Crowd, and so that I was never really familiar with Chris O'Dowd before, and then I watched the IT Crowd, and yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Thor: The Dark World if you've seen it. Check out there's a link in the description to our Patreon page. Check that out. Make a pledge if you would like, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.